Hello, my inky friends. It's Cindy Lynn with My Inky Fingers. Thank you so much for joining me today on my YouTube channel and blog. If you're new here, welcome. Today we're making this card on page 40 from the August to December Stampin' Up mini catalog for 2020. When I saw this stamp set, well, my sideline talked me into this stamp set, but when I saw that card, I knew that was the card that was simple yet elegant that was going to help get me through 30 cards I had to make for Christmas. If you're part of my Facebook group, you probably heard all about it. I was whining and complaining. I don't do well with mass producing. I don't do well with repetition. But I made it through, and once I was done, I had such a sense of accomplishment. So all of the measurements and everything I used is listed on my blog, and all of the links are also listed on the YouTube description. So here, what you're going to want to do is pull out the sixth largest die. So working from the bottom out, pull out the sixth one, because what I found is the curve on that die most closely match the curve on the stamp, right? And that there is from the ornamental envelopes. But as you can see here, I put some purple tape just on either end because I found it was easier to hold the purple tape than it was to try to hold the actual die itself and move my fingers every time I tried to make a ring with my pencil mark. But as you can see me going around here now, like it doesn't always perfectly match up because that's not perfectly circular because it's a twig, right? But you can kind of manipulate it and go back and forth and go back to where it's a little bit more sparse and put your stamp there and re-ink and go back and forth, and you can see me doing it here. So right there, it wasn't 100% perfect, but when I back up the stamp a little bit, stamp over that, it fills in that sparse area, and I just keep going, and then I end up with this perfect circle, and I'm just loving that. So here, what I did is I stamped all 30, get them out of the way, and I was going to use my mechanical pencil there to erase it, but that thing is great for ink marks and, you know, stuff like that, but it just moves too slow for mass production, so I pulled out my white eraser. Now, I'm going to lay the berries down on the same block, and what I'm going to do here, now, that little feathery thing, that's my little poof that I put all my destatification powder in. I can't link it. Nevertheless, I've got a fan going, so it's all blowing in the wind. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to Versamark and only stamp the top ones first, okay? Because yes, you can see the Versamark, but who's got time when you're making 30 cards to, you know, look down in there and really see where the watermark is? So I was like, you know what? I can stamp 6 of them at a time, put my embossing powder on them, heat them till they're smooth and melted, and then I can move on to the next 6. And it was just super quick. I didn't have time to inspect them to see where my Versamark was to stamp my next stamp. So now I'm just going to destaticify them again, and I'm just going to rinse and repeat. And the next stamp is going to go a little to the left, kind of coming down towards the bottom. So I have a spot left for the flowers that I'm going to stamp last here. So I'm just going to work in sets of 6 again. I'm going to put my Versamark on those, and then I'm going to put my embossing powder on them. I'm going to heat set them till they're smooth and dry, and then I'm going to move on. So here I'm just pulling out that little set of 3 little flowers there, and here I can kind of stamp all 3, right? Because, you know, I can kind of see a little, and these are bigger too, and I'm not stamping such a little thing on a black or brown twig, forgive me. And I did use the early espresso ink as well to stamp all of those sprigs. But as you can see there, I was pretty happy with that, and if they overlap a little, don't stress. Nothing's perfect in nature, right? So don't worry too much about that. So I'm going to do these in 6s as well. So I'm going to get them all stamped up. And, you know, your first couple are always like, you know, until you kind of get your rhythm going and figure out where you want things. So now I pulled out that particular die from the Stitched Rectangles die because that's about the size I want my sentiment. Now here in the Wrapped in Christmas, those bottom 2 sentiments have the same kind of script. So I wanted to go with those because they kind of match. So one for the outside of the card and one for the inside. Now these are my little, you know, embellishments I'm going to use, but I wanted to match my cardstock to that Christmas red stickles. And all of those are linked below for you guys. Now here, I'm just going to mass produce these on the cherry cobbler. You can use as much of whatever color you're using as needed. Now here, I wanted to leave this in and show you. I used a red rubber stamp I depress them way, way, way too hard in my Versamark, and then I stamp them way, 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 way too hard. Do you guys have that issue? I totally always have that issue. So I've always got to bring in my paintbrush and dust off all the extras, right? Now, here's the fun part. You guys, this almost made making these cards fun because I didn't know in all my born days, I had no idea you could color on melted embossing powder. I was like, insert face bomb here because I had no idea. And when I was looking at the card in the catalog, I literally had to investigate how they did this. So all I did was just put a little circle in the middle and then flicked little lines out all the way around it, and it all worked out perfectly. But that was just the coolest little technique I never even knew you could do. So here, I'm just pulling out and showing you all the little ingredients that I put into my splatters. I'll link both the videos for the splatters because the gold is in my splatters video and the white with the gouache is in my top 10 stamping tools and whatnots that I can't live without. So I gotta make a video and put them all in one, and then make a blog post and write out all the ingredients too. It's on the list, I promise. But here, I'm gonna take that silver out of there. In the gold video, or the video with the gold, you can use those perfect pearls if you can't find that Shinhan art, and that's kind of what I'm switching to now. But I have so much of the Shinhan art, but I'm trying to switch over to just the perfect pearls because it's more universally available to everybody. But I'm going to splatter with the white first. I love my splatter, but I love it on this card because it looks like snow. And then I didn't even wait for it to dry. I went over with the gold just to add some extra pizzazz. And then here is the pebble in my shoe. I got on the Facebook group about this, and so many of you guys were like, oh, have you tried this? Have you tried that? Did you do this? And I got every suggestion under the sun. And at the end of the day, I persevered and I did it all by hand. And I got that twine at, I got it at Michael's on clearance so long ago, a year or two ago. And I can't link it, but it was less than $2. So I was like, I will throw that in my stash drawer. So I opened the drawer of my retired and non-Stampin' Up stuff, and there was that. And I thought the gold and the white, and it just went. And I had a lot of it, and I thought if I have a lot of waste, I'm not worried because there's a lot. But check out how much waste I had there. I never cut the piece. I just kept pulling it off, and I made it through, and I was never so relieved when I finished making 30 little twine ribbons. And then that happened. I was like, ugh. So when it comes to red ink, it's sometimes better to just use your Stamparatus because it doesn't always get a good impression the first time, which is not the end of the world. But I'm going to pull out my Stamparatus, and I'm just going to keep positioning that until I can see that it's perfectly straight on those grid lines. That's just graph paper printed on acetate, and then I laminated it because that's what I needed, right? Now, once I've got it straight, it's actually a little quicker just flipping your door, ink, 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 flip the door, ink, 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 flip the door, to do 30 inserts than it is to, look down and position it anyway. So I was kind of glad I went with my Stamparatus. Now here, I'm just going to put my card fronts on my cards, and then I ran out of my little foam adhesive strips. So I have this Scotch brand. I can't link it for you because it's a competitive item with Stampin' Up, but I had it from another project, and what a pain in my butt having to cut these all in strips. So save yourself the time. If you have foam adhesive strips, definitely pull those out. And maybe you're only making one of these cards. Oh, God bless you. I wish I was in your shoes and I only made one. But now, I should be good for like mass producing cards until Valentine's. I've got a really good idea planned for Valentine's Day for everybody, so hang tight for that. Christmas isn't even over. We're not allowed to talk about Valentine's Day. Mum's the word. All right, so I'm going to put those just put them where you want, but I like them there on this particular card where that area of the wreath is. Now I'm going to use a little multi-purpose liquid glue. That's multi-purpose liquid glue in another bottle. I'll link it for you guys. Now here was my fun part. Now I'm going to use, and I linked all of these down below for you guys, but I just picked three different little fun, stickles, liquid pearls, Nuvo drops, whatever, that just added that little bit of glisten and glitter to this otherwise beautiful card. I mean, I just wanted something subtle, right? So, and there it kind of blopped out. Just take a pin and you can reshape it again, no problem. So, I mean, look at those. I just love those. I'm so satisfied with the way that they turned out. Let me know how many Christmas cards you guys make, because you guys blow me away with the amount of cards you guys make. So let's see who's going to make my jaw drop. And until I see you guys again, take care and happy stamping.